have structure. And this is the mistake that happens usually, is that we think when we say flexible homeschooling, you think that there is no structure, that everything's out the window. But that's just not true. That's like, you need routine, you thrive on structure. And when you look at our life from an Islamic lifestyle, from following the Sunnah, there's structure. Like, there we have the timings of Salah, and those are the best pillars that you can structure your day around. It doesn't mean, when I say flexible, doesn't mean there's like winging it. No, it actually makes it harder. And the more you have kids, the more you have things that come at you. So when you're trying to achieve things and you have no priorities, you have no structure, it just, you never get to it. You just feel like, I'm always trying to catch up, and we don't want that. That's not good, not for your mental state, not for anything. So the way I do it, I'm very a checklist maker. I told you this before many times. I love to have checklists, but yet I don't like when I am stressed with deadlines. I actually get stuff done by deadlines, but it's very stressful, and it's not something that I want to do with homeschooling, because I don't want to put my stress on my child, because my child is the one who's learning. And we all know, if I'm stressed and trying to make that person get something done, they'll simply choose not to, and then my hands are tied. I can't really get anything done. I can't really push them or force them. It's impossible to force them to do something like that, to meet those deadlines. That's why I like unit studies, because it gives me that flexibility along the structure. So let's start with our days. First of all, now let's start with the whole goal. Why are we doing this? Why am I homeschooling? How many kids are homeschooling? If you're homeschooling like one child, why am I homeschooling my child? I could send him to school. No, I chose to stay home. Why? I want to learn I want him or her to learn at his or her pace. Like, I don't want my child to be trying to like meet these deadlines that are like unnecessary. They're like, superficial. Or my child, I noticed that my child is not someone who thrives on direction and like excessive direction. Or you gotta do this activity, and then we gotta move this, and then you have to do 1 page only. You cannot do 5 pages if you want to, or you can't do half a page. And my child doesn't thrive in that environment, so I'd rather be home so I can give him that more flexibility again, so he or she can enjoy what they're learning, and we get to also like choose what we want to learn and how we want to learn it. There's tons of methodologies out there. You don't have to follow the one that like a certain school or the majority of the school are following. So you can come up with your own. You can come up with a hybrid, and this is another topic for another day. Just the privilege, alhamdulillah, for being able to homeschool, and you get to choose what method that you want, what methodology that you want. So I personally like to do a hybrid. I enjoy some parts of Montessori, I enjoy some parts of Charlotte Mason, I enjoy Waldorf as well. And I know my children, I know one is more artistic and like fine motor skills. I know the other one, he's really into the gross motor skills. So I take those methodologies that I learned and I try to fit them between the children, So first of all, recap. Have your goal. Like, what's the goal? Why am I doing this? And you have to remind yourself every day, because we get caught up in everyday stuff and we forget why we're doing this, and we just continue in frustration. Why am I homeschooling? Why did I choose to do this for this phase? I'm not even telling you to look ahead like 10 years. You want to do that? That's good. That's a different, like, you're setting a vision. But let me just say, I decided to homeschool for the next 3 months, for the next 6 months, for this year, this phase. What are my goals? The next thing is decide how your structure is going to look like. How many homeschooling days you're going to have. And when I say homeschooling days, meaning the days that you're going to be home doing that certain activity. You could be part of co-ops, you could be part of other groups, you could have tutoring, some classes. Depends what works for each family. We all choose what works for our family, works best for our children. Your job as a mom is to be the mentor, to be there, to be to know what your child needs, to be observant, and then find a solution for your child. And that solution could come from you, like you could provide it, or it could still come from you in a different way. It will look like you're gonna get a tutor, or you're gonna enroll in a class, or enroll in a co-op. There's tons of resources, alhamdulillah, out there. And the second thing, so you decide, like, do you want 3 days a week, 4 days a week? I personally do 3 days. I've tried 4 days a week before, but I like to do 3 days. And then there's 1 day of co-op, so, and the rest is unstructured. We do other things in them. And for example, I have Monday for this phase. Monday is our co-op, and Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday is our 3-day homeschooling. And the fourth day is Friday, which is a fifth day. Friday, which is like family day. We do more fun things. We usually eat out and just do whatever we want. My kids call it my day off. And then we have Saturday, which is our library day, and then Sunday, which is sports day, like if I want to have like any sports. Also, like, just not to give you so many things and confuse you, but having a structure like this, like these are my days where I'm going to be a part of a co-op. You don't have to do the co-op, but if you want to, or these are my days where I'm going to do grocery shopping if you have to go, or these are my days where I'm going to do sorry, something came up and distracted me. Tried to I tried to ignore it, but it couldn't. The days of where I go to see a doctor, if you go and see doctors regularly, you know, so you have this big structure. And then when you have like 3 days of homeschooling, I like to follow a Waldorf method. When I do the first day, the story, the unit study that we do that day, and we include some math in it, we include science in it if it's applicable to that subject. So we do reading, writing, and not necessarily writing, sorry, we do reading, math, and like some science or art, something like that. And then the second day will be again reading, math, the same subject, we're just repeating it. And then the third day will be like the child's turn to read to me, the child's turn to retell me the story. They can read and practice the reading. They write about a science report. If we did the science activity, they'll write it in their book. So this is how I like to do it, but not necessarily, you don't have to do that, but you experiment what works for you, how many children you have. If you have little kids, you separate your lessons, the progression of your lessons, into these 3 days. And I personally don't like to separate the subjects together, because, for example, I am learning about, this week we're learning about space, right? And we're learning about the prophets, Yusuf alayhi salam. So this is like our reading and writing, and then we start talking about space, and then we ended up in geography talking about the sun giving us light, and the day and night, and earth and the whole world when shining light here, and that means it's dark here. So this is geography again, and science. It's all mixed up, and this is just how natural it is. So I'm not going to be like, no, we're not doing geography right now. No, I'm going to follow geography because that's what sparked the conversation. And I'm a very big fan of taking those learning opportunities and taking advantage of them, because kids enjoy them more and they like them. So this is the level of flexibility that I have on my days. This is the time when we're going to do homeschooling. These are the things that I want to check, but I'm not super strict on them. Things can go to the next day. These things can be shuffled to this day instead. So when you're just being playful with it, you believe that your child is not falling behind. You believe that you as a mother can observe, can tell what your child needs, what is missing, all the things that they need to do, then you'll be able to play with these things confidently. And it's not something that you're going to learn right away the first week. No, you have to keep practicing, and then you're gonna get it one day, and then the next week you'll be like, I didn't really quite get it. But having those, as I said, I started with the goal, reminding yourself what is your goal, why you're doing this. It helps you it helps you keep going. So if I'm gonna say I am homeschooling for this year because I want my child to learn at his or her own pace. So if the next day I'm trying to homeschool and teach something and we're supposed to be done with that lesson, but my child still needs more time, that's fine, that's okay. We can either put it and come back to it later, we can keep going it and try and practice again the next day. So recap quickly again. I said goals, structure in your day, and having like either like 3 days or 4 days, and having like doctor days and groceries. I'm escaping. I thought about something and then it left. Okay, good idea to write notes next time. What was it? Out of learn strategy. Flexibility. I think it might come back to me. Let me see. If I read the question again. Yeah, so also I didn't say about the unit studies. So if you're like homeschooling for the whole year and you're like, okay, if you prefer to plan all your unit studies for the whole year, that is possible. Not necessary though. I personally don't do that. I plan mine like 6 weeks at a time. I definitely tried the 3 months and 4 or 5 months at a time. That's definitely doable. Whatever you like, whatever you prefer. If it's gonna give you like a peace of mind to plan the whole thing, plan it. It doesn't take long. If it takes you if it's gonna give you an anxiety that you plan the whole thing, then don't do it, one at a time. So I plan like with all the details. So a 6-week unit study will take like 1 hour. Sometimes I do it less than that, but let's say 1 hour. And if you want to plan the whole year, you're gonna just like jot down, okay, so these 3 months I'm gonna do 3 units about these 3 subjects, and then you just write like the big ideas. Like for example, I give in my homeschool without the box, where we learn about how to make your own create your own unit studies and all that, and make your homeschooling flexible. I give a template exactly like what to answer, what are the headlines that you're gonna go over and all of that. So you can definitely plan 12 of those. Not 12, I mean, because it's not a month. How many? 9, 6, maybe 7 unit studies a year if you're doing the school year. Maybe 6 or 7. And the most important thing is to be flexible, because some unit studies may take you 3 weeks because you guys are not really enjoying it. You tried and they don't like it. I'm like, it's fine, because the goal is not to finish everything that you plan to the Z. No, the goal is to teach your children. The goal is for your children to be engaged, and they learn the lessons of reading, of number sense, of writing, of saying back, retelling stories, and understanding cause and consequence. Again, like this is like I have a massive document of the things that I keep track of that a child needs to learn. Common, like I call them the common learning skills by sometimes. So these are the goals. The goals is not to finish something at a certain deadline, because that just puts a lot of pressure, and kids get sick and you get sick and family visit. What are you gonna do? Fall behind? No, you're not gonna fall behind. You're just gonna keep going. And some unit studies will take 5 weeks, others will take 8 weeks, and that's okay. You have the authority to change things around. You have the authority to shuffle things around, but also you're giving your children a chance to explore the subjects, to answer questions, and you also like make sure that your child is engaged and they have a say. Kind of like you can choose all the subjects of unit studies. You have the authority to do that. You want to choose half of them and the other half can your child choose, you can do that as well. You have the authority to choose that, just like you choose a curriculum. You are able to choose the subjects of unit studies as well. Anyway, I think I talked about all of them. To still have structure and still be flexible at the same time. Flexibility doesn't mean that your day is going to be chaotic. It's actually more fun, because it gives you more energy and more peace of mind. You have the structure, you're going to try to follow it, but if something comes up, it's fine, completely fine. That's actually the natural way. That's the normal way. And yeah, inshallah, this was beneficial. Assalamu alaikum.